All right. Welcome back to All Cars, y'all. My name is John. It's time for a new reaction video. And this week I have chosen the 1997 Mercedes-Benz E420 Sport. Big fan of the E-Class, and I feel like I've neglected Mercedes recently in my gushing love for them. So I thought we would do this one. As always, make yourself comfortable for a few minutes. Grab your beverage of choice. We've just got some leftover room temperature coffee right now. But let's see what Motorweek said about it back in 1997.
Motorweek is made possible by Auto Value and Bumper to Bumper and TireRack.com.
When we tested the latest E-Class sedan from Mercedes-Benz last year, we noted that Mercedes engineers had clearly gone above and beyond the call of duty in designing it. But as much as we loved our 6-cylinder E320 test car, we loved the idea of an 8-cylinder model even more. Well, now it's here in the form of the E420. Is there such a thing as love at second sight?
Let's talk about this styling a little bit. So generally, Mercedes back in the day, they built the best car they could. They built it irregardless of price, essentially. They picked a size and then built it. And many of those Mercedes were a little dour inside, but they became famous for their reliability and their durability. And if you were a fan of Top Gear or Grand Tour, they talked about that. Like in Africa, Mercedes running, the one where they delivered food inland. James May picked a old Mercedes wagon, for example. And eventually, under pressure from Acura and then Lexus and Infiniti and what was thought at the time of a resurgent Cadillac, they had to start value engineering their cars a little bit. And things went off track very quickly. That's a far too brief summary of my opinion. But Mercedes essentially became less reliable, but they also had to change their styling, and I did not like this car when it came out. Now I need to preface that by the E-Class. It's not my dream car, right? It's not a Ferrari, right? But it is like that aspirational car. Like, wow, if I could have a Mercedes. I think it's just about the perfect midsize car. And it has been, in my mind, decade after decade after decade. I love it. The E-Class is that stretch aspirational goal. But I didn't like this one when it came out. The circular headlights, it ew to me. That being said, I want to give credit. I went through all that because I want to give credit to Mercedes designers. Because as much as I like the 80s and their squared off headlights, this, to my eyes, has aged unbelievably well. I really, really do think so. I think it is stately. I think it has a presence. I think they nailed it, but I didn't think so when it was brand new.
Second sight? Sure. In fact, with this Mercedes-Benz E420 Sport, it's more like love is lovelier the second time around. For now, there is a V8 heart throbbing under the hood. Stuttgart's familiar all-aluminum dual overhead cam 32-valve 4.2-liter V8. It pumps out a very healthy 275 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque, which is seamlessly pulsed to the rear wheels by a new 5-speed automatic transmission. Also standard is Mercedes ASR, or automatic slip control, an all-speed traction control system that modulates brakes and torque to maintain stability. But with the traction...
Before they go on to the performance side of it, I don't have a problem with that engine. I mean, I don't... Not being a mechanic, not having worked on them, I don't know how horrific they are to navigate under the hood. And I have the opinion that they are a reliable engine. I'm sure if they aren't, you will let me know in the comments below. But, you know, numbers wise, I have no problem there. 5-speed automatic. I wonder who the first was. I don't know if it was this car or not. I'm probably going to look that up after this because nice. That's just a nice combination of stats for this car. Curious what the performance ends up being and if they mention the weight it's hauling around. But I will say that shifter, hate that. Absolutely hate it. I don't care if they do it. I don't care if Jaguar does it. I hate those shifters.
Control turned off and driving for maximum performance, we pushed the 3,800-pound E420 from 0 to 60 in a swift 7.3 seconds. But we were even more impressed with this mid-size sedan's balanced behavior around the twists and turns of Pocono International Raceway's road course. Credit the wider track, front double wishbone suspension, and all-around finely tuned springs of the new E-Class. Exclusive to the E420.
That's pretty impressive, honestly. That 0 to 60 time, that's pretty impressive. That's pretty healthy. And 3,800 pounds. Look, I don't know what a modern one weighs, but my first thought when I heard that was like, that sounds light. I expected 4,000 pounds. That strikes me as just not light, but lighter than I expected. Pretty impressive, I think.
Sport are 17-inch AMG monoblock alloys wearing Z-rated 45 series high-performance Michelin Pilot SX rubber. Other AMG crafted additions include the sport's deeper front air dam with neatly integrated fog lamps, side skirts to accentuate the car's ground-hugging stance, and matching rear apron, all shared with Mercedes' yet-to-reach the U.S. E50 high-performance sedan. Inside the E420 Sport is the classy, well-thought-out interior so characteristic of the understated luxury that is Mercedes-Benz. Plus, all E-Class models have standard door-mounted side airbags for driver and front passenger. And while hardly cheap, this V8 E-Class still represents value.
Hold on, before they go on to it, I wish they'd spent a little more time on the interior, doing some close-ups and what was included in the gauges and things like that. That was gorgeous. That was absolutely gorgeous. You know, slanted away from you, a two-tone, absolutely gorgeous interior. Sure, we could nitpick what looked to be the center there where the radio and the climate controls were. It looked kind of tacked on to me, and like maybe a few too small buttons. But the general aesthetic through the whole thing, just, oh my gosh, that looks so comfortable. That looks amazing. Absolutely gorgeous interior. But they didn't talk about the backseat room, the seat comfort, the adjustability of the seats, the trunk size. What the heck are they doing here? What a weird one.
Compared to its predecessor, the 97 E420's base price dropped $2,600 to $49,900, and that's for a much improved vehicle. The Sport package adds $3,900, bringing the sticker to $53,800. Those prices are very competitive with the Lexus LS400, BMW 540i, Jaguar XJ6, and even Cadillac Seville, making the E420 a much bigger force in the middleweight luxury car market. And we think will make it loved at every site for E420 owners.
Wow. Okay, so they're done. Boy, that price sounds high. I mean, I know if you've watched enough of these retro reviews, these reaction videos with me, you know that basically my idea of what is an affordable car was frozen about 1995. And everything since then has been overly overpriced. Okay. But $53,000, let's say $50,000 right now, still sounds really expensive to me. And this was 25 years ago. Well, it's more than that. It's 27 years ago. That's stunning to me, but that was competitive. You know, for that class of car, that was competitive, just like they said, with the Jaguar, which gorgeous, the BMW, gorgeous, the Cadillac, hard to believe they were even in the conversation, and the Lexus LS. Of those cars, the Lexus I still think is better overall. In terms of long-term durability and reliability and probably customer care. But I believe, you know, certainly if you only give people two options, right? I believe people can fall into one of two categories. You know, much like you're either a cat person or you're a dog person. I believe you're a BMW person or you're a Mercedes person. And BMW's made some excellent machines, beautiful machines over the years. And I basically, I have loved every BMW that I've driven. And it's easy to stand back. I like they're overpriced. I don't like the grills have gotten too big. They're fat. They're everything on and on and on. And they're too complex. But every time I get behind the wheel, I mean, this is from 1995 on when I driven a early 90s, late 80s, I think it was. I don't remember. 3 Series. Every BMW I've ever had a chance to drive, I absolutely love it. I don't always believe in their whether their engines are really going to last. I don't always believe in their transmissions, and I certainly don't want the repair costs of a BMW. But I fall very solidly in the, if somebody gifted me $75,000 and said, you have to use this to buy a vehicle, a car, and you can choose a BMW or Mercedes, I'd go to the Mercedes dealer every single time, because the Mercedes I've driven have always been a different experience from the BMWs. That sounds obvious to say, but the BMW I get behind the wheel, and it's the smoothest, sweetest driving machines. I really, really like them. But the Mercedes speaks to me. It really does. It doesn't matter whether it's the C-Class on up. The Mercedes just, that's the one that I would want to come out of my house and be like, man, I get to sit in traffic for 45 minutes in that thing. So really, really short review. I wish it had been longer, especially around the interior. And one of my big questions was, how good is the sound system? Because if you're buying this and you're going to be wafting along, how good? I enjoyed this one. That was a good little trip down memory lane for me, because this is a car that I will finish with. When it was released, I didn't love it. But I think it has aged incredibly well. And I think the BMW has, too, of the era. But still, I love this car. Thanks for being here, guys. I appreciate you spending some time with me today. Take it easy.